Hey guys, we're live. This is Babetalk. As anyone that watches this show knows, it's pretty much not a show until we have technical difficulties. Of course, right off the bat, we have some technical difficulties. I was actually speaking with Nathaniel a little bit earlier, literally about like 2 minutes ago, when we should have started the show. And I got wrapped up into his words and the amazing things that he was talking about. It's going to be a great interview. Hey, all right, and we actually...
My phone, man, I don't know what the heck.
Same. I don't know what the heck with this show, because this show has a tendency just to do its own thing at all the different times. So I'm very sorry if this kind of spills over to your life a little bit.
No, it's all good. I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Nathaniel of the Bergamot. What is going on, sir?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just trying to keep it lively on a night off here on tour, getting ready for tomorrow night. We're going to be in Lansing, Michigan, and just putting some polish on a couple of new songs and get ready for the upcoming big tour dates we have coming up.
Oh, and it is so good indeed, because you guys have been working like hell to put out everything so far.
Dude, the hustle never stops. The hustle never stops. It's like new records, new album, the entire album release process, which obviously is incredible and amazing. I'm sitting right now in the Unity car, which we are taking to all 50 states across the U.S., including Alaska and Hawaii. I'll tell you later how we're getting it there. And but yeah, it's just like one thing on top of the other. But in our world, as they always say, it's like there is no such thing as bad busy. So it's all good busy. So we're super, super happy.
That is very true.
Jillian will be joining shortly, so.
Oh, nice, good. I mean, I wasn't ever going to say, like, oh, I only got one member, but, like, oh, I was going to speak with them. But now I got both, so that's actually going to be very cool, because I want to get both perspectives on everything that you guys have been doing. Now, I was treated to looking at the Unity car earlier. However, it is raining, so I'm not going to subject Nathaniel to doing that again. But what you guys need to do is go onto their YouTube channel, in which they actively showcase the car. You guys can go to bergamot.com, and you're able to see a lot of the press photos in which they have the car showcased there. Or you can actually go out to a show, which you should do, which they have the full tour listing on the website as well. And that's an awesome thing. So before I ask Nathaniel I'm sorry?
I said yes. We would love to see anybody at the upcoming shows. There's a lot of them, so don't miss out.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun thing. And you guys aren't even doing shows. Of course you're doing shows, but you're also doing keynotes,
Totally.
like opening for different speakers, which is also pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's like, so we started the journey of the Unity Collective USA, obviously music, community, and collaboration. I mean, what better, right? So, But the world has a way of, like, telling you where you're needed, and the world was just like, hey, we need you to be involved with, like, these peace talks, and, like, we need you to be here, and we need you to be there. And we were like, we just went where the wind took us, and so we've met some incredible people, some incredible authors, speakers, and our journeys have been anything but chill. They've been very amazing.
Hello, and now we have Jillian also of the Bergamot. Hello there.
Life on the road is always interesting. Coordinating is sometimes more challenging than not.
Especially when you're doing karaoke. I do apologize for taking you guys from that.
It was so fun. The last song my mom and I did together.
They did together?
My mom and I.
Oh my gosh.
I've never sung with my mom karaoke, and we did Close to You, which was so touching. I actually was gonna cry. I was like, keep it together.
You're on stage. Keep the stage presence going.
I was like, my mom. Oh, mom.
Oh, that's so very cool. Now, before we get into the rest of the episode, and before I have to, do all the formalities, this episode is also sponsored by Terminus Tees, terminustees.com. They have a lot of awesome people that are over there looking to do your merchandise. They have a lot of great artists. They have a lot of great account managers, and they have sales actively. You guys missed the last sale of 100 shirts for $397. So sorry for you guys. However, they will be having more sales in the future, so be up on it. Go check out their social media. Go check out their website, terminustees.com. And that's all the formalities that I'm going to give for this episode, because I really want to get into the mind of the guests that I have here tonight.
Love it.
For sure.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello. So I was given a sneak peek of your guys' night with the karaoke, but I also do start off the rest of our episodes by asking our guests how their past few weeks were, which you guys kind of had like your big tour. So if you guys want to dive into that, or anything else that you guys want to
Sure,
divulge.
yeah. I mean, how do I explain this? So the last few weeks have kind of like there's like a tornado going on around us of like people's faces and different sleeping places and different shows, and then we're in the center of it, just like experiencing all of these incredible things and putting up with you know the challenges as well of being on the road, making sure we're not chased down by tornadoes when we're in Tornado Alley during certain areas, or snowstorms, or being in those and stuff like that. Playing a lot of shows, and yeah, it's been really magical, but wild. Kind of like a blur. It's like a blur, you know.
And like tonight, wet and wild.
Yeah, that is true. Especially with like the third tornadoes. Like, I'm not too sure if I heard of any bands like give a story which is like, yeah, we ran away from a tornado. Like, that's really intense.
Yeah,
life on the road. Life on the road is just like, oh, you want a nice drive today? What about a tornado warning? Or what about like hail? Or what about, whatever it may be. So you're just like, you just go with it, You're like, I'm just gonna flow along, and more like water than wood. You know how that is. It's like you got to be super malleable and be able to just like flow with whatever's thrown at your way, because there's always something interesting. This car has almost 300,000 miles. Like, it's gonna have problems, so you got to keep an eye on that too.
Totally.
Which, like, have you guys ever taken your car to like a mechanic to get like a checkup, and like you told them the story about like why there's so many miles on that car?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. We were just in Minneapolis, and we knew the car needed a little work because it was kind of like whispering to me, like, Nate, I need to go to the mechanic. So I was like, okay. So we took it in, and that's another thing, like planning out on the road to get your car into a shop when it's the only car you have, like, and trying to like navigate public transportation in cities that you've never been in, or maybe cities that don't have like great public transportation, is always interesting. So you feel like you have to lean on some people at most times, but it was really great. They were like, your car is amazing, like, it looks great inside, it just needs some spark plugs, which was like, cool, as long as the transmission doesn't go. So it's like, I feel like we could be on like Car Talk Radio because we know so much about cars now. I mean, with a car that has this many thousands of miles, you could take it into the engineer or the mechanic, and they could be like, yeah, your whole car could be replaced, and you're just like, yeah, I know, but I just need it to go another 50,000 miles. Like, I'm not looking to take this thing to 1 million. Just like, don't replace a gasket that just like looks like it's a little worn. Like, everything in this car is worn. Like, you can see like the steering wheel is falling apart. I mean, I'll show you the steering wheel here.
Yeah. Okay.
See, like, the steering wheel itself, like, there is, like, you can see here, it's like,
oh man, that's down to the
completely worn out.
That is intense.
You can see, like, right here and like
there.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like everything in this car has the potential and the ability to be replaced, but it takes a good mechanic and somebody that we trust to just be like, hey, I know that this can be replaced, but honestly, all you really need is an oil change.
when it comes down to just be like, hey guys, like, just a little bit, like we know.
Just like make sure like the wheels don't fly off. We're going 70 on the highway.
And now we have like the brakes; they work. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. The oil and the brakes. Everything else, we'll push it. Yeah, just make sure that we're able to stop in case we do. Oh, that is too funny. So of course you guys were talking about karaoke, and I asked Nathaniel earlier about his go-to karaoke songs. So what would be your go-to karaoke song?
Me? Oh.
Yes.
Probably Fleetwood Mac, like Rihanna. Spinning like a bird through the night, and would you love to love her? Yep.
We got a performance. All right, that's actually pretty good. So we have Fleetwood Mac and Sinatra. Those two are pretty like
those are
timeless.
Alter egos.
Total alter ego.
Like me in another artistic life would be like in a suit in a dark New York nightclub
Totally.
singing Sinatra.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, see, what I want to do is urge anyone that's listening to the show to bring like a nice classic fedora to your next show, and I think I'd probably be the happiest person on earth.
Oh yeah.
Well, like the old school style. I mean, not to say that your hat right now is bad or anything like
Yeah,
that,
no,
but
I
Yeah,
know what you're
yeah.
saying, like straight up.
Yes.
oh, like straight OG gangster. Oh, absolutely.
We've got like literally like you want like any hat, I can just give you the gamut here. We've got hats for days, you
Hats
know.
for days. That is so good. Always prepared. And you guys travel and like your whole life is we have so much to discuss. So we're gonna jump into it. So I'm gonna ask you guys questions, and you guys are gonna give me answers. They're pretty straightforward. It's an interview, so that'll be cool. But the first thing that I would like to have you guys tell our audience is the history of Bergamot real fast.
Yeah, so it breaks down pretty simply. So we met in high school when I was 15 and Nathaniel was 17, and he started giving me guitar lessons, and we started writing songs after that. I actually don't really play guitar still to this day, so he was either a really bad instructor or I was a really bad student. But we joke a lot still about those times. And then we went to college and we decided we wanted to come up with our name. And he was at a health store, a co-op, I don't know, probably like eating lunch. And he saw like this essential oil called Bergamot. And he was like, oh, what about like naming our band after this essential oil that's used to induce happiness, relieve stress? And I was like, I don't know. And then like 2 weeks went by and we're like, that is perfect. We're like, we'll call ourselves the Bergamot. So it's been amazing, and that was we've been together for 13 years now. I mean, I'm 27, so just a couple songs we've written together.
Truth.
That is actually really cool. And like
So
when you guys
Jillian,
had an yes.
you know, I was gonna say, so Jillian's stepping back and forth. She's gonna be like kind of running back and forth. So she's gonna be in and out throughout the interview.
That's fine by me. Sure. That's no problem
Life on the road,
whatsoever.
like I said, is just like we have no organization. We put the best that we can.
I'll be right back.
Anyways,
I'm back.
Okay, all right. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. So what I was gonna say with the name Bergamot, Bergamot, I mouth doesn't work well. It's a perfect reflection of you guys' music.
totally. I think that one of the things that we've been really lucky with over the past couple of years is like sometimes bands pick names and then it's like not, it's not something that works out for them in the long run because it doesn't accurately reflect like who they musically become. And I think that like we've just been so lucky that like we started in with that name and like we just grew into it. It was like yes, yes, and yes. Like, and the more we become ourselves, which has been a huge musical journey for us, we've released like we have 5 albums on iTunes, a 6th album that we never released that we might release at some point. It's like, so that stuff is like, the fact that you can take on a trajectory in your musical career that can change so much and it's still so accurately reflected in the music and the name is like it's unbelievable. So we've just been super lucky in that way to just continue to grow. And I think it's kind of like a guiding light of our music. It's like, is it, I feel like, is it like Beatles rock? It's like, it's something that can always like, it's not all down and depressing and sad and quiet. Like it's uplifting, but not cheesy. And I think that's like a niche that is not done well these days because you have like your mainstream pop, which is just like over the top, and then you have like indie rock, which is just like we're broke and depressed, which is like I get that too. All indie bands face that, so it's hard to be in a situation and not just be like, yeah, I just want to write songs about like how much life is, shit and all this other stuff because it's like it's easy to do that out on the road, but we're trying to take a different perspective at it, and I think that's what makes our music unique and fits the title of our band.
That's really cool. So as was mentioned before that you were giving Jillian lessons on music, where did your initial itch come from to even get involved in music?
Oh man, I mean, growing up in the late 90s as a teenager, I mean, think of all the great music that was coming out of that time. I mean, you had, you know, obviously Nirvana didn't come out then, but I mean, you had just so much great music at that time. You had Nirvana, you had the Nirvana Pearl Jam Rift, you had Pearl Jam, you had, there was Caroline Spine, there was just like all these really crazy rock bands that just really snagged me, and that was my start in music, man. It was just like listening to Teen Spirit, and after years and years of listening to Billy Joel, and I grew up on the Beach Boys, and so really for me in Pink Floyd, and I felt like there was no transition in there. I didn't get into 80s rock, I didn't get into hair rock, never really did for some reason. But then Nirvana came out, and I just made that like leap. Like I just skipped kind of like the 80s and went from Pink Floyd right over to Nirvana, which at that time that came out was so. I just remember it being like if you were a teenager at that time, it hit you at the core, man. Like Smells Like Teen Spirit and those songs was like, dang, like that took music to like a religious level for like the relatively indifferential like young boy, who's just like bucking its
Mm-hmm.
head at 13 or 12 or 13 years old. And that was just like, that was huge. That was like revolutionary. And so those were like, first song I ever learned was "Man Who Sold the World," and then
Oh,
from
nice.
there it was just any Pearl Jam song that was acoustic. I tried because I loved acoustic guitar, and then I got into, as crazy as it is, then I got into like Dave Matthews Band, because once I started to fall in love with like Nirvana Unplugged and Pearl Jam Unplugged and all their acoustic songs, then Dave Matthews started like showing up on my radar because I was really getting into acoustic guitar, and he was like an acoustic guitar like wizard. And then it just progressed, and then it was like, then I kind of got into a little bit to jazz, and then I got into Miles Davis and Coltrane for a really long time, and so on and so forth. And then I studied classically, and then I got into the classical people, and now I'm like, then you get into like a certain headspace where you're just like, do you want to write and be a performer for a living, or do you just want to be a classical like nut? And so I just kind of was like, no, I wanna write. So I had to kind of like gather up all my chips that I had collected in music and be like, what does this mean for Nathaniel Paul as an artist? And then so it all started manifesting. And in the first years, I think with like Smile, you heard on that record, there's huge influence of classical guitar. Like electric guitars finger-picked like classical guitars. And actually, I had a lot of people at the time when I was doing a lot of that work being like, this is really crazy because you don't hear people play electric guitars like a classical guitar, which I totally was doing. And you hear that on that record, and so I found some really cool stuff, but then I had to like back it off because it was like there's only so much that you can do before it's like it's a little bit like too crazy, and like and so I was like, I wasn't really, I was more focused on the actual arrangements and that type of stuff, and wasn't that much into the lyrics. It's just kind of like, like the Steely Dan approach, like just hum a melody, fit some lyrics and whatever. And I'm definitely in a phase of my life now where I want like stories told to songs. So yeah, so it was like just that whole influence, and you can see with Jillian's progression too, from like really classically influenced to like just becoming her and backing some of that stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
And finding our real voice as artists has been huge. But that was how I got into music, and it was just a semi-spiritual thing. I'd go from like playing gigs, playing Nirvana, and then I'd show up with my religion teacher, and just because I wanted to play music, like we played classic Dylan songs in church basements, and like, so it went like my musical experiences range from right from the get-go, from like dirty basement gigs to like church basement, like
Mm-hmm.
playing Dylan
Oh yeah.
songs and singing and leading crowds. So it was like cool time to be a musician for sure, and things have changed a lot. But yeah, that was a good time to get into music, man. I just feel like that was a booming time for electric guitars and acoustic guitars in the late '90s. It was good. It was a good time. So that's when I got started.
And I think it's funny with that you said that you went from like the Beach Boys and you kind of like made that jump to Nirvana, which like if you really think about the Beach Boys, which I like the Beach Boys, I've gotten a new respect for them within the past few years because if you listen to like some of the like classic hits that they put out, and you compare it to someone like the grittier alt stuff, it kind of fits the same like tone. And like
Totally.
nobody realizes that because you just think like, oh, it's just a bunch of old white guys. What do they know about like punk or like
Yeah.
heavy alt? It still fits the same
So
thing.
I know, man, and I think that's the cool thing about music is that like no musician lives in a vacuum, no artist lives in a
Hmm.
vacuum. And so if you say you like music at all, you have to just kind of like, even if it's not your thing, you have to understand the influence. And I think that
Absolutely.
some of the like those guys were all vibing off of each other, and I think that in the harmonies, and we actually got a chance to meet the Beach Boys. We met them at a show. Our producer who produced our last album was producing them their live show. So last time when they were on the road and we crossed paths, he was like, "Hey, come in tonight, and I'd love to introduce you to the Beach Boys." And we're like, "That'd be amazing." And so we went and hung out with the Beach Boys, and classics, man. Those dudes are like you. Whatever you may think about those cats, I mean, those guys are like they're still living the dream, man. Like we went into the green
Absolutely.
room, and that is not there for them. Age is just something that defines your physical being, but they're like spiritual and emotional beings, man. They were still kicking it. Like it was a fun time. Like I didn't know what to expect. But and so I just think that there's so much influence that goes into everything, and I think that me as a teenager, going back to that, it was like, you're young and you listen to your parents' music because when you were super young, it's like they had the vinyls and you wouldn't go out and buy vinyls. I didn't want to go mow lawns all day. I mean, I did mow lawns all the time, and I grew up in Indiana, so I grew up on a farm. I had to work on a farm shoveling horse shit so I could buy guitar pedals. But
Hmm.
it's like you just listen to whatever you had, and so it was whatever cassettes and whatever records. And then when Nirvana came out, it was just like this whole formality of the music world, just kind of like as a young teenager, just like the bottom fell out, and it was like this is so real, and it's like speaking to me on such a deeper level. Um, and yeah, so that was like yeah, those are some crazy days, man, for sure. And I think that all those influences kind of play into each other, and you kind of just learn to appreciate all the different aspects, especially, growing up and working on a farm. So I could fund, getting pedals and guitars and whatever amps, we needed at that time to make shows. It was so fun.
Yeah, you made it work, and that still comes down to like the very distinct DIY culture. Like you need
Totally.
it, you gotta get it. You're gonna make stuff. So
Yeah,
the
dude,
next thing I
you
want
need something, you
to
got to go hustle. You got to do it.
you gotta get that hustle.
Ain't no free rides in this world. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
you gotta work for it. So I wanted to talk about the progression that you guys had, because I went to go like check out like kind of like your history, and like I went as far as to even find like the old MySpace that you guys have. I mean, it's not reformed, but like you guys have been pushing out shows for like ever, and I think like the earliest that I found you guys promoting shows was around like on your Facebook around like 2009, and you guys were
Yeah.
like posting about the different shows that you guys were playing. Me, I really don't know the Indiana scene as, I mean, of course, I'm from Jersey. I'm not going to know about the Indiana scene, but like, how was the local culture within receptors to your guys' music or music in general? Like, was it easy for you guys to jump into that
Totally.
market?
Um, Good question. I think there's two approaches I'm gonna take to it. So there was a high school scene starting, which would have been 4 years before that first gig, that we both were kind of submersed into, and that was actually there was like a small scene in Indiana. I mean, it's Indiana, so we're surrounded by cornfields. So like, if you want to go do something, you got to go. There's like a couple of locations you go. It's like there's one coffee house, there's one this. That was the beauty of Indiana growing up. It was like if you didn't want to go get hammered with your friends, which was a viable option, obviously, because that's what it was, and you wanted to
Hmm.
do something else, it was like there was one coffee shop in town, there was one game in town. So it was like, and we met some crazy, like, there was some straight edge dudes hanging out there, and there was us, and like, and so, anyways, it started off as like what we thought might be really weird, but then it just like turned into something else. Like, then it turned into open mic nights, and my band, we played there, and it was like amazing, and everybody was there because there was nowhere else to go. And we were sophomores in high school, so obviously no one could go to the bars. So it was like, go to this or whatever. And so Jill and I kind of both grew up in this like kind of supportive thing where we played that big show, and then our band became the house band, and then we backed like this white rapper dude and this like one like super screamo, like he'd come up and we just play like, he's like, dude, just play something dark, someone to sing about whatever, and we just go with it. Like in our house band was like, okay, like let's do something in E minor and play it hard, here we go, like, it was like that.
Oh, wow.
We were like super lucky because it was like there was only one game in town. It wasn't like we were spread thin, so we had like it was just kind of like we were all forced to like work together. It was like we'd back up the rapper and we'd play like we'd play like some ripped off not Jay-Z, but I'm trying to think of who it was. If we want Nelly, we'd play like some ripped off Nelly groove, and then the white rapper would throw down something, and before you know it, 20, 30 people were in the coffee house because there's nothing else going on in town, and word started to spread, and then it was like it was a super artistically like safe. What I would say was like a super artistically safe space, considering when you think of Indiana, you don't think of like this like bed of like interesting stuff going on, but like, and then the coffee house like closed down. Obviously, it got I don't know, the fire code and blah blah blah, and there were people in the streets and all sorts of crap. I mean, it got to a point where it was a little out of control, which was when it was good, and then the party got closed down, which that's, I guess, the other side is that once things get a little carried away here, it's hard to keep them going because it's not built, like nothing's built here for like that. And then when Jill and I launched together into the music scene in college, we were at a school in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and there was like another nice little small scene where we could kind of like try some stuff out, and we felt artistically safe to explore. And then we moved back to South Bend after college to kind of like hunker down. And during those high school years, there was a guy that I'd met along the way who kind of watched our development, and he was involved in college programming. And so he was like, look, I really think what you guys have would be really great in this space. We're like, okay, whatever, we'll try it out. And then we made a huge investment with our like life savings, and it was really great. I think that we were just lucky enough to have space where it was like it was safe to be creative, and I think that was kind of something that kind of spurred our growth, being from Indiana.
Wow. Like out of all places, like, and not to like talk shit on Indiana, but like
totally.
But like you said, when you think about it, it's not the first thing to be like, yeah, like it's a musical thriving area in which like they just love creativity. Like it wasn't like Footloose, I think, was like set in Indiana, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you just think like, yeah, that was the thing, and I think that was so weird was because like I feel like in most urban rich cultures, you have like everybody has their spot, right? So it was like if you were screamo, you went here. If you were rap, you went here. If you were acoustic, you went here. But in South Bend, being young, it was like, no, we all went to higher grounds. So it was like, let's all just go to higher grounds. And I'll never forget the show that we played. We had 300 people. This was like just before Jill and I got together. And this was like, we had 300 people, dude, people standing on, I mean, it was the shoddiest thing. If you have any idea, like, I don't know why, I was crazy when we were growing up, but I wanted to rent a stage to put in a coffee house. I was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but we thought that we would get so many people to turn out or whatever. And we did, because we had a bass player was at one high school. We were at another high school. We had a drummer we had all of our people were spread out. Our drummer was from our school. We had, it was just kind of like, we were all from different high schools, and 300 people showed up because we were like, so, everyone was underage and we didn't have anywhere to go. So it kind of like forced everyone to like unify around this one opportunity, because like that was it. Like there was nothing else unless you wanted to just like drive around an egg, like, or drive golf balls through like old Studebaker mansions, like there was nothing else to do in town. So we were kind of lucky in that way that like it was centered. And so Jill and I, we drifted towards each other because our music scene was so small, but it was there, it was alive, it wasn't dead. So it was a big thing.
Amazing. But that's a really cool story. Like all together, like just being able to like throw like 300 people into one little cafe. Like there are bands that like.
Yeah, no, I'm yeah,
It's all good.
hold on one second. Yes.
Yes, no problem. Yeah.
Taking a spot. Yeah. So anyway, so like the no, I think that it was like an unbelievably cool thing for us to like have a chance to be expressive to, and we were young too, right? So it was like we didn't have to justify anything, and it was like we just were able to have this little scene, and people still talk about that higher grounds. That was the name of the place, and people still talk about that to this day. I have a picture of us playing as a house band backing up. His name was Double D, actually, was his rap name, and he would come up and people were always just hyped about him rapping over our rock jams. And because we were kind of like a Grateful Dead. I just remember like we just loved, like, you could just jam in E major for 10 hours, you know? So that
Hmm.
was my style, but he came in and like threw in different flavors, and from all that we just kind of like got this really eclectic sound, which maybe is why we've experimented in our own music, because it's growing up, it was like it was cool to be 10 different things because people just were tired of everything.
That's awesome, and it's very apparent throughout your guys' like discography that you can see that you have fresh you guys stay. So let's go back to the band, the progression that you guys have about like putting out albums up to this point with Tones. Um, so like you said, you have 5 albums that are out right now, and right now you guys are like at like the highest level of popularity that you guys have seen thus far.
True.
From playing these small shows to like now getting so much um I'm blanking on the word, but like a lot of people literally backing you guys' production of
Yeah,
Tones.
totally.
Like,
Kickstarter.
how where do you guys like stem that success from? From like you guys, because I know you were saying earlier about like you're glad that you didn't jump off early. I mean, the stuff that you guys were putting out was solid, but now you guys are at like here.
Totally.
So what do you think you guys were doing that had like pushed you guys up to this level now?
I think my personal thought about the whole thing is this. When we started in with music, I was pretty committed, but I wasn't as committed as maybe I could have been. And then once I decided this is what I wanted to do full time for a living, it was like, okay, if this is what I want to do, I got to look at the best. And I got to say, okay, this is the time I got to put in. And so I began these 3-hour rehearsal sessions with Jillian and I, starting after Haven. And I was hammering, playing all the time, 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 all the time. And Dylan was too. And we were just like playing and performing all the time, all the time. And so I think what's really interesting, and here comes Jay to join. What was really interesting about that development was that it was just like one of these things where it was like, we didn't know where the next phase was going to be, but we knew if we worked really hard and we kept growing as artists, the next phase would be revealed to us. And I think that's been the whole
Hmm.
process. It's like hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work. Don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm going, don't know where I'm going. All of a sudden, a new avenue opens up. A new harmony is heard when we're rehearsing, a new something, a new chord change, a new something. And all of a sudden that like it just like blossoms into like this song that I wrote called Young Again that we play as our closer every night. And it's like these little experiences, and then Young Again was like this little thing that came out of a rehearsal session, but it exposed, like, it brought like the house down. So it was like once I had that song written, it was like every song previous to that, it was like now I looked at every previous song through the scope of this new development, and it was like, oh shit, like this is the new direction for us. And so that's been the trajectory, has just been like these little revelations that happen in songwriting or in our experiences together that just like open our consciousness up, just like traveling has done. The US, Europe opens our consciousness up to a whole new level of consciousness, and then that new consciousness becomes your new artistic identity, and then the writing flows, and then everything flows from that new birth. And I think that with Tones, it was that whole thing of just like so many hours, so many shows, so many things, so that like we just had this like revelation, and then that just was like a furnace of great material that provided for Tones. And now we've got another furnace going of our next development, our next stage as musicians. And But I think that's what is missing in great music now, is that people just think, oh yeah, you just hit your stride and boom, you're done. You don't have to do another thing. It's like, no, man. I think the best music is when an artist is like, we all know Picasso could have painted the greatest landscapes, whatever, but it was when he dialed it back and put in all the effort, and then it was like pulled everything back to what made him great. And it was like, fuck. Then it was like he went from like this to like this to like way, way above. And I think that's been our trajectory too. It's like we had to regress to progress. And I think that was our artistic journey, has just been like, let's strip everything down to just see what are the nuts and bolts that makes us great together, and let's understand those better. And then once we understand them, let's explode them into the new record, which is Tones, and which is the newer record coming out even. So it's been like hard work. I just think like when the excitement around what we're doing, I think, is just a natural product of all the hours that we put into it. I don't think of it as like some freak thing. I just look at it as like, we're at that stage now where I don't feel intimidated by it. I feel like we've earned this. We've earned the ability to sit and say this is our best record and that we've put in the time, and that's key.
Nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
The line that you, and there were like several, but then like I could hear you talk all day. The like stripping down to the nuts and bolts, just to like see what it is until we work it, like dialing back and figure it out, and then like being able to earn saying that like this is the best shit that we've put out.
Yeah.
That just shows like how hard you guys are working, and like the amount of success that you do have. It's very earned, and that like people just can't say like, oh, I made a picture, like, oh, we love you because you did a thing. And like, not to say that like people don't deserve their notoriety here or there, but like when you're able to physically put out that like the blood, sweat, and tears, and say like, here it is. I know this is fantastic. Everyone is giving it a lot of love, and we've put ourselves in this position. We've earned it.
I think
that's amazing.
That's the beautiful thing, is when we started, and I think if you go back in our catalog, it was Static Energy that drove us. And now it's not. And I think that's a huge transition in a musician's life, because that static energy can be elating, and it can be like, I'm only going to write when the static energy is there. But there's a level of comprehension and understanding in the arts that occurs beyond that level of, that level of static friction that you have is like, yeah, that shows you that you have something, but like you still have to cultivate it into something great. Like, you're not just gonna wake up one morning and be great. Like, you're gonna wake up one morning and you're gonna be like, I have the inspiration to 10 years from now be great, but I've always thought that was the biggest thing, is that like static energy was our static flowers. That was the whole concept. Like, it's just kind of static and it's coming together from whatever. And now Tones, and now the next album is like, it's going to be like just tightening the rope and tightening the vision and everything. And really, just like taking a camera and just really turning that, turning the thing to where we're really starting to see and focus and see where it is that we're going, and have direction and all that. I'm going to let Jillian answer a couple questions. I'm going to go dip out for a minute, but I will be back.
All right, we get to switch it up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. All right, then we'll talk with you soon. And hello, Jillian.
Hello.
Oh, hello. So we were going over some of the earlier stuff with the progression of playing in a smaller scene in Indiana to progressing the tone, the musical tone of the rest of the stuff, including Tones. And so I'm gonna ask you. We're gonna go into you guys have been playing shows for a while. You guys have been producing music for a long while, and now you're looking at Tones. You guys have said we want to make a new album, and we want to make it the best that we can make it. With your current fan base, is doing well, and now you're gonna ask your fans for $30,000, and you made it. And that's just a testament to saying oh, here we are, and this is the backing that we have. But that's daunting for any band to take on that type of a project. How'd you guys come up to to dedicate, to commit? This is what we're gonna do, casually.
Very casually, in a very casual sweater, we made that commitment. Yeah, it was definitely terrifying. I mean, here's the thing. If you're someone once told me, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. And early on in my life and our life together, we decided that we were going to be pretty much literally living on the edge of existence all the time. And that's a really interesting place to be. And in the beginning, it was really hard. And we both still have hard moments where, you know, you're like, the car could break down any moment. You know that these are things but you have to think positive thoughts. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and kind of taking that into the Kickstarter campaign, we've done 2 successful ones now. The first one, we were seeking to raise 30,000. We raised 34,000 with our fans, and then the second one we did was for the Unity Collective USA tour, which we're on right now, was
Okay.
to raise 15,000, and we raised, I think, like 18,000 or something like that, maybe a little bit over 18,000. Yeah, so essentially how I would break this down is when people usually see Kickstarter campaigns and they say, "Oh my gosh, like that's amazing, you raised $34,000 and the other one too," or like, how did you do that? You know, people just hand you money, they just give it to you, you know, it's so easy, right? And you're like, "Oh my God, if I could take my life those days." So it's a 40-day campaign that
Yeah.
that it's active. There's a 3-week like process before where you're getting all the new content you need up, all the marketing materials, you're recording videos, you're going out there, you're hustling, you're setting up the stuff for the 40 days. And then there's the post work, which could take up to anywhere from 4 to 8 months of your time,
Mm-hmm.
of your energy, of your emotional energy, of your money, plus their money. I mean, when you see all the money up there, not only do you go through that, but then you tap into whatever money you're breaking your piggy banks over between the two of us. So we pretty much are poor on the project. No, for sure are poor. I can send you our tax reports. But you know, we love what we do, and when you're in the process, you're literally inviting one by one, spending anywhere from the lowest amount of hours on a day I would work on that, because I'm in charge of that stuff. So we
Okay.
both have jobs, things that we do better that are our gifts. And I would spend, oh my gosh, I would go to bed at 3 and I'd wake
Yeah.
up like 9, and I would be working all those hours. I would take 2 or 3, like a 3-hour breaks for the whole, like really literally working, inviting people nonstop um,
Mm-hmm.
into the process. And so you see that success through the hard work, but you can't see those hours for 40 days nonstop. I mean, there's a lull period in the middle, because it's always like a breakdown. You know, people are tired of hearing from you, so you have to kind of pull it back, but you're still inviting people one by one. And you're talking thousands of people. I probably, during the first campaign, probably spoke with over 6,000 people, and
Wow.
you can see that in the numbers, which is crazy, because if you're lucky to get, you know, if you're speaking to anywhere from 5,000, 6,000 people, the percentage shows up in the numbers. We hit almost 500 backers, so you're getting that percentage based off of people you're talking to, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
like, a lot of it's cold call, or it's, you know, and it's not really calling, it's all done social media. But
I follow. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, you know, I love what I do. I love music. I love writing. I love performing. I literally love our fans. They're the raddest people in the whole world, and they're truly our tribe. Like, you know, there's Seth Godin. He speaks, if you have 1,000 true fans, you're capable of doing almost anything. Because if you break it down, if you have, you know, 1,000 fans and each of them backs you at $50 or something, you know, you can do the math. You could do a lot with that money, you know, and
Yeah.
typically, you know, you'll get $1 backer, you'll get $100 backer. The average is usually like, you know, $50, $60 or something, but that's if they really love you. If they don't, they'll give you $1 just to shut you off. But then you get them to love you from the music. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if those are the people who don't know, they're just like, I don't know, but good luck. But but yeah, I mean, we couldn't have made Tones without our fans. It was
Yeah.
literally a fan driven album, and we tested. I don't know if we told you this already, but all the songs on Tones, we played from Portland to Paris. We literally tested those songs and many more that didn't make the cut, all over the world for almost 2 years before we even
Huh.
asked our fans to help us. So they already knew the songs. They'd been to the shows. They kept asking, and the songs that made it onto the actual record are the ones that we kept getting tweets about, Facebook. People would hit us up in email. Hey, is this song out? I want this song. I want this song. I want this song. And so we started being like, okay, this song, okay, they like these songs. And so we created that list based off of our fans. So that's kind of how we do
Huh.
everything. And obviously we'd give some surprises, like new ones that no one ever hears, but it's really, it's the collective community and the ultimate contribution from both parties that make music happen today, especially for independent bands like ourselves. We're hustling all the time, every single day.
Hmm.
We're literally almost never not on the clock. So
True. And that's another thing that I haven't really heard before, and it might just because of my inexperience within the music industry. But to test out the songs by playing them live. I mean, like you'll have some bands that will a single will be like, oh, it's gonna be a new one off a new EP, but you guys literally have like the smartest thing I've ever heard, like a focus group right there, and then you guys are gonna be like, oh well, let's see what they like, and then
yeah,
like bringing them involved, and then
yeah.
hey, what do you guys want to hear? We'll put it out.
It's like when you go to your favorite, I don't know, market, and there's people giving out samples. Well,
Yeah.
that's how we do it. I mean, our songs in new spaces are samples, and then you literally get instant feedback. I mean, we're super astute. We're looking right at people, so we can tell if they like it or they don't. And so then we know, okay, even if they might not feel it the first time, then we'll go rewrite it and we'll replay it, and then you can see people be like, oh my god, yeah, what it needed was a bridge, or it really needed
Mm.
that stomping motion in the background, or that extra stomp with the shakers, or it was too complicated. Let's just bring it down to it, more simple chord strumming instead of like real finger pick. And you change the whole song, and then you're able to. It's easier with your fans, and it's really fun to see people light up. We did a show in Austin, Texas. Well, we did 7 shows in 4 days at South by Southwest this year. So,
South by Southwest. Oh man.
oh my gosh. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a new song that literally Nathaniel just wrote. That one's called Periscope. And somebody came up to us right after the show, and it's cute. Sometimes you can tell when people are like real nervous to talk to you. And she was like a little nervous, but she's like, I just wanted to let you know that I think it was your new song, maybe, like, I don't remember the name, but she said like a line. I'm like, oh, Periscope. She's like, yeah. She's like, my boyfriend, he was crying, and she's like, I got chills, and I wanted to let you know that whenever we get married, we want that to be our first dance song.
Oh my God, that's like the best feedback ever.
I know, right? These are
Yeah,
our fans.
exactly. And the amount of love. And speaking of love, because we can continue talking about that for like the longest time. But this Unity Collective tour,
Yes.
this whole tour all in itself is incredible. And the idea, because I was talking with Nathaniel before we had started the interview, was just so natural and so like it just flowed right out. And and not even like if you want to separate the Kickstarter, which is an amazing thing to have behind you when you want to go on a all 50 state tour.
Totally.
The concept, the execution, the love back. How is that whole thing been? Because I know that you guys, and this is now I guess a formal announcement. You guys have a guest blog that will be going up on Babetalk, which I read and was just like, fuck, this is great.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, because it's just the amount of. Well, first talk about the tour, and then I'll go and I'll elaborate as to why I love it so much. But if you can just give the background as to the whole tour,
Yeah.
what you guys are doing for it.
Yeah, of course. So essentially, there comes a time in every artist's life when you are faced with going forward into the great unknown, but also having like a really insatiable presence of something pushing you there. Like you don't know why you're doing this, but you truly feel called, call it God or the universe or whatever your terms are. Um, and we, it was October, and we knew we wanted to tour, but we didn't know how we wanted to do it. And literally in the car, Nathaniel like was like struck by like this idea like out of the blue, and he was like, I've got it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because it was like totally out of the blue. We just got done eating dinner, we were getting ready to go, and he's like, no, like we're gonna do a tour, and it's gonna be about unity, and we're gonna do it in this car. And this car's a piece of shit to anyone else because it's got like 200,000 miles, but to us it's like been our home for the last 6 years. And he's like, we're gonna invite people to sign the outside of the car. And I was like, what? That is fucking amazing. And then like it kept growing, and we kept talking back and forth. And they were like, yeah, like we should do something at the end. Like we should give back in a greater way to society other than just spreading like obviously amazing vibes and being inclusive to all people. We said, well, let's auction the car off and help build a children's hospital in our hometown that they're actually starting to build now. But and so we set forth, and it kept growing. This idea kept growing and growing into a 50-state tour, over 100 dates. Like it started at like, oh, let's do like the contiguous states, and I was like, no, if we're gonna do this, we're not gonna exclude 2 states. So we're going to be flying to Alaska on April 25th, which is my birthday, and then on May 25th we're flying to Hawaii, and we're taking a piece of the car so we can reattach it. So every state is literally
nice. Okay.
yeah. So but I mean the whole point is this: we're living in a time where there's a lot of fucked up shit going on in the world, and there's a lot of hate speech. There are a lot of people who are feeding their mind negative things all the time. You've got the internet, you've got the news stations. It's can really weigh on your soul, and you also have a great division that people are trying to create from just in general from all like humans, like, oh well, I'm better than you, or you're better than me, or you're this color and I'm this color, or you're transgender and I'm not, so I'm better than you. It's like, okay, no, here's the deal: we truly, at the end of the day, we are all one. And the sooner that all of us can realize that, the better the world is going to be. And it really starts with ourselves as individuals and how we look at ourselves in the mirror in the morning. If you're looking in the mirror in the morning, you're saying, oh, wow, I'm so ugly. Well, then you're going to manifest that in your life. You got to look at this at yourself and be like, I'm beautiful. I'm going to be a bringer of light. I'm going to go out there and spread joy today. I'm going to extend my hand to somebody I would never hang out with, that I would never necessarily talk to, or maybe just not have the opportunity to hang out with. I'm going to say, hey, how you doing today? I'm going to put down my damn cell phone. I'm going to look at somebody in the eye and smile at them. Like, let's get real, people. We are more united than we are divided. Literally, at the core of humanity, we are love. And like, the sooner people can realize that, the better the world is going to work, the more joy we're going to be able to spread, the more peace we're going to be able to bring. I mean, the future, as the way it looks, it's going to be determined by 2 things: the peace disruptors and the peacemakers. And we as individuals are on a line where we get to choose which side we want to be on. And I think the thing with the world is, in order to have light, we have to understand darkness. And darkness isn't going to go away, but we have the opportunity to continually re-choose if we want to be existing in the darkness, or if we want to be existing in the light. And when you're in the light, it's just so luminous and so joyful, and the possibilities are literally limitless. And the Unity Collective USA tour is all about that. Like, even yesterday, uh, and this is so funny, when you're in the car, you don't remember you're in a car that has messages, like 1,000 messages of like peace and unity on it. So like, we pull up in this parking lot, and I'm locking the doors, because you have to lock them automatically now because everything's kind of broken. I'm locking the doors, and I hear someone like yelling, but it's kind of faint because like I can't. They're like in a car yelling. They were saying full car, and I like turned around and I was like, someone talking to me? And I was like, I don't know. But then I was like, no, like, go back. I think someone's yelling. So I went all the way back, and it was this really amazing group of young high schoolers. They live around here, whatever, and they were just on their spring break, and they're really, really awesome. And they were just like, hey, like, what's the deal with this? and some of them had like, and I talked to them a little bit, and some of them had dealt with like people, you know, race before, you know, being put down or things like that. And I was like, this is what we're all about. We're about bringing unity instead of division. And I was like, I want all of you to sign the card. And they were like, this is so cool. You know, they're like 16-year-olds, and who someone had struggled or different things, and one of the girls, it was her birthday, and so I sang to her, and they were like, oh my god. And so it was just like literally in those small moments that you know, just reaching out and just being like, hey, like we're all one, like we're family here, like sign whatever is on your heart. You know, it gives people a podium to have a voice in a productive and peaceful and positive way, and that continues to ripple out. And it's really beautiful to see that happen, and that is happening all the time. Like it's amazing. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's just a really amazing thing, and because it's the amount of positivity that I think that is so refreshing. Because like especially when you look into the rest of the music community as of right now, it's not self-centering. It's not like depressing, but like it's people's take on, because a lot of it is like, you know, like an emotional purge, and people like, you know, find it a lot easier to expel their sadness than it is their joy, because like, you know, it's a lot easier to write about something that you do know than it is about like, you know, what you could know.
Yes, totally.
So with Tones and like, you know, like the whole Beauty Collective tour, it's all about like, you know, the positivity, the bringing in of people, the love, and like even with other songs, like oh man, of course, when I want to talk about the song, I'm gonna blank on it. But there was this one song that had reference birds, and like, you know, like being repressed as like a person, and then like saying like rejecting that notion of just like, you know, being like settled and like, you know, not being able to be all that you could be, like putting ambitions on the shelf. And then saying like, no, like be yourself, be like free, happy, like don't put up with what you want to do, but like, you know, go out and yeah.
I know what song you're talking about. It's really funny because before you started talking about it, I felt like you were gonna say Alive. It's like is it the one where it's like Mother D was so alone?
Yes. What is it? Good God. Now I'm gonna pull.
And when you're out there looking back and you feel like giving up, we're alive. That one.
I just got a song. yes, that one, and the rest of the album too. It's such a beautiful positive thing, and it's very refreshing, and it's an amazing thing. So for those that want to learn more about everything, oh, absolutely, that's been going on with this particular tour. We will be posting a guest post on Babetalk that Jill, I believe that you have wrote, correct?
I did.
Yeah. So these words that you just heard spoken out will be put onto our site, and we'll be sharing it, spreading like wildfire, because it's such a beautiful concept. And at this point, we're going to share a song that you guys have actually put out. It's going to be the opening song from Tones, "Forget About Tomorrow." If you want to give a quick intro to that, we're going to play it for everyone to hear.
Yes. I hope you enjoy "Forget About Tomorrow." It is about living for today and going after your passions no matter what anybody thinks about you.
All right, so hopefully you guys will fall in love with this band like I have. It's a really great song to open up to for Tones. Forget About Tomorrow. Take a listen to it.
Feeling so overrated. My life is so complicated. I'm not the best, but I face it. These feelings are fresh, but I'm jaded. Oh, and I feel like I'm going nowhere. And I feel like I wanna be someone, but I don't wanna write this song. Forget about tomorrow. One thing today. Forget about tomorrow. One thing today. One thing today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember what I said. Yeah. Forget about tomorrow. Forget about tomorrow. Forget about tomorrow. My thoughts can be so relentless. You about gave up when I said this, but now that I know you're faded, well, I had to go, but I waited on you, and I feel like I'm going nowhere, and I feel like I wanna be someone, but I don't wanna write this song. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. If you won't be today, yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember what I said, yeah. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. Won't be today. Remember what I said, yeah. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. Forget about tomorrow. Won't be today. Won't be today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Remember what I said, yeah. Forget about tomorrow.
All right, so that was "Forget About Tomorrow." Amazing song, amazing thing to open up to. I'm glad you found your hats again.
Yes, thank you.
It looks very awesome, and that whole album, it was so cool to because for this program we bring on pop punk bands, a little bit more of like heavy lo-fi indie bands that would be considered like within the pop punk realm, and this was such a refreshing thing to listen to. It was upbeat. It had its lower moments. It's especially with the message, and then the rest of the collective, the Unity collective tour that you guys have behind it, with the car, with the signatures, with the inclusive scene that you guys have, with not just like earning money to like have an expendable amount of funds to make an amazing album, but more of just like giving back to everybody else that you guys have contributed to you. Like the whole package in itself for you guys is just so genuine, so awesome, and that it's like I'm wishing like the best amount of success for everything, just because you guys are just, I know that it will fold on to other people as well as yourselves.
That means so much. Thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. I can sense your
Absolutely.
excitement, and it makes me just so happy. So I appreciate the love, and I'm sending it back.
I feel it. It's an amazing thing.
Yes.
Because, like, especially with, like, learning about other people, there's very few times in which you'll be able to, like, run into some really genuine people when it comes to the music industry. I mean, of course, you have people that are just, like, they're passionate about what they want to do. They're passionate about their causes. And you guys are, like, the lighthouse shining the beacon to say, like, this is what you can do and this is what we are doing, and not just for us, but for everyone that's around us.
Thank you.
It's yeah, absolutely. And and I can keep going for like hours and hours and hours, but I know there's karaoke inside, and we're gonna ask one more question as to what is next. You guys have the rest of your tour that's gonna be going on for like the longest time in new music, but I mean, like, outside of that, what's up for you guys?
Oh man. Well. Oh wow, so many good things coming down the pipeline. So the tour is going to end in New York City at the end of August. So everybody who's in the hood, definitely come check us out. We're booking those shows now. But you can stay in touch. People can stay in touch. I think it's important. Like, we literally love meeting new people, and just having that connection. So definitely hit us up. We have a newsletter for our tribe. If you go onto our website at thebergamot.com, on the front page, you just scroll down a little, you can plug in your information there. But I mean, other than that, I mean, if you go on our site, you can find that we both have like interesting things we're interested in that we like to share. So Nathaniel, he is an amazing poet, and he has a poetry blog which you can access from our
Oh
site.
wow,
And
nice.
he's also thanks, yeah, he's also into artisan coffees, and he makes like pour over coffee on the road. And then I really love food. I love kind of like holistic healing and like nutritious vegetarian and vegan food. So I have a blog for people who have attention deficit disorder, because I have ADD and I'm most resembled to a butterfly. But I have a blog. I have a blog called The Distracted Beet, as in the root vegetable.com, and I put all sorts of really amazing healing recipes that are really fast to make for people who have ADD. So you're not, if you're in a time crunch, you go there. And plus a lot of information on like how to heal yourself and how to gain focus and move forward, especially as like an entrepreneur, and just like having fun in life and stuff like that. So those are always on.
That is incredible, and I so wish I could talk to you guys for so much longer, because
Yes.
like just the amount of things, like the insight from going from, and which I love talking about personally, like the DIY aspect, going into like a bigger production route, touring for so long, like living in your car for so long, but I'm sure the what? Yeah, good lord.
28 square feet.
28 square feet. I was telling Nathaniel earlier, like, I know bands that would like, like, oh, let's go from Jersey to California. It's like, no, I want to retain a band in like two weeks. And they're in vans, and you guys are in a 2002 Volvo. But yeah. Anyway, so I absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day off from a 50-day tour to speak with me tonight. Everyone, go check out their music, Bergamot.com. Well, thebergamot.com, I'm sure, correct?
Yeah.
Bergamot.com. Don't listen to my mouth. Go and check them out. Yeah. Their album Tones is out right now. You can find it on YouTube. Well, some of the songs are on YouTube, some performances. You can find some covers of the music. You guys can keep up with the Unity Collective tour updates that they put out week by week. Spotify. Check out their Facebook, their updates there. As long as you guys are able to check out everything that they do, there's so much more to just their music that you guys should go and check out. So, Jillian, thank you so very much. Please be sure to extend my thanks to Nathaniel when he is done singing and stuff.
I will. And hey, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us on the show, and let's do this again soon so we can kind of delve more into other things you're interested in. We can do another one sometime soon.
Oh, I will 100% take you up on that, because I have so many notes and just realized there's just so many things you can go over in an hour. So and I can't wait to have everyone else read the blog post that will be going up tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. I'm so happy. I'm stoked. I'm gonna This is the ending, guys. So this is Babe Talk. Check me out tomorrow. We're gonna be talking to Dear Tatiana. They're gonna be a hip hop pop punk band that crossed over in there. I'm gonna be speaking with the vocals from there, and then next week we're gonna have some amazing things. And we have Babe Talk Radio coming later this month. And I think that's all we have. So Jillian, I thank you so very, very much. Tell Nathaniel thank you as well. And I will be catching up. Shine on, shine on. There we go. I love everything. All right, go enjoy the rest of your evening, and guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Good night.